Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another podcast episode. I'm so pleased that you're here. My name is Dr. Brooklyn Storme, and I'm a coach for private practice owners, and I love all things spiritual. And so what I do is teach you guys how to apply and integrate some of those spiritual practices into your life so that it can have a ripple effect into your private practice. It's really, really cool, and I love all of this stuff. So much so, in fact, that I realized recently that I too am on my own journey, and things tend to come full circle, don't they? Because in the last couple of weeks, I've felt a very strong calling to go back to the beginning of where all of this started for me. I felt called to go back to all my manifesting work. And so that's what I've been doing. And as a result of that, of course, I've been journaling to new prompts, and I've started meditating more regularly and things like that. And I think because of all of that, what's happened is I've become increasingly aware of how much I really want to pull everything into alignment for my business where it is now. So last year, you remember the podcast was called the Business Acceleration Podcast, and that was a title that was given to me by a beautiful mentor that I had. This mentor had worked with some very, very famous people, and I just felt so blessed to, get some advice and some input from this person that I took everything on board, and I wanted to implement everything that they taught me. And so I changed the podcast name to Business Acceleration. But over recent weeks, what I've realized is that doesn't really align with me anymore, because as you've probably noticed, if you've been following me on social media and things like that, I've just started stepping more boldly and unapologetically into the space of integrating spiritual practice with private practice. And for that reason, I don't know, I was sitting down the other day getting ready to write a blog, and for some reason it was just like, I don't know, all of a sudden I had this idea to change the podcast name, and I wasn't even consciously trying to change the podcast name. I hadn't been sitting there brainstorming names or saying, I should change a podcast name. I was just sitting down to write a blog, and then the idea came into my head that I should change the podcast title. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to just call it Private Practice with Soul. And from that point on, I couldn't let it go. So I put in the applications, did all of that, got it changed, which then meant I needed a new album cover. So jumped on Fiverr, got a new album cover. The title and the album cover just got changed yesterday. So I am super, super, super excited. And I'm also in the process of creating a new intro and outro for the podcast. But I was tossing up whether or not to release an episode today, because I didn't do it on Wednesday with all these changes going on. I was unsure about whether or not I wanted to release it without having a new intro. But then I thought, rather than rush something, I thought I'd rather take my time with it and do something that felt more aligned. So anyway, welcome to the podcast. It's going to be the same content, just a different name, so that more people can find it more easily. So what I wanted to talk with you about today was something that came up during the week around fees, actually. So there's a lady that I work with, and she had some queries around raising her fees, and she was kind of saying to me, I keep getting all of this feedback from other clients that I'm one of the cheapest psychologists in the area, and I know that I probably should increase my fees, but it doesn't really feel fair if I do that. And I was like, well, fair to who? And she's like, well, fair to the clients. I said, what do you mean it's not fair on the clients? I said, wouldn't it, is it fair on your team to be working for the cheapest psychology practice? Is it fair for the team who are getting paid a percentage of the session fee to be part of the cheapest psychology practice? Is it fair on the practice to be the cheapest in the business? Like, what's that doing for your brand? What's that doing for your reputation? What's that doing for the type of clients that you're going to be working with and attracting to the business? And even with all of this, this person was still saying, yeah, but it just doesn't feel right because, maybe some clients won't be able to access the service then, and maybe I'm going to lose some people. And so I think, here we go, where what's going on here is, somebody has she's attributed belief, she's attributed meaning to money. And this is the thing, guys, money is just a neutral thing, right? It can't hurt you, it can't make you feel a certain way, it can't do anything. It's just a thing, just like my big chunk of sodalite, my big chunk of rose quartz, my big chunk of all sorts of crystals, my candle that I'm looking at now, my desk, they're all neutral, right? They don't have any special magical power over me. And money doesn't have any special magical power over you either, okay? You attribute you attribute your own meaning around money. Now, when it comes to thinking about your clients and you think to yourself, well, it's not fair on clients if I increase my fees, I think it'd be very helpful for you to ask yourself where that thought's coming from. And a lot of the time we pick up our money stories from our parents. And this isn't about blaming or anything like that. This is just explaining how we pick things up. But a lot of the time when we're little ones, we're just sponges, as you know, and we take on board everything that our parents tell us. And so we're always listening out for information. And sometimes we hear all kinds of things. You know what it was like. Some of the stories I heard growing up were, don't touch that, you might break it, and we can't afford to replace it, put it back. Keep your hands in your pockets when we walk through the shops. I don't want to see any hands out of pockets. We can't afford that, but if you be good, maybe you'll get it for your birthday. Things like that. So I always had these ideas around money. And the other thing was, I heard a lot of the time, we can't afford it. We're not the types of people that can afford things like that. You make do with what you've got. Those were the things that I heard growing up. And I always understood that when I came to grow up, it was also going to be a tough road for me, because why wouldn't it? It had always been a tough road. Why would it be any different? And then when I moved into my private practice, I was only working for the government rebate, okay, which isn't a lot of money, and it's certainly not enough to sustain a private practice. And I was fine with that. Honestly, I was fine with that. But then, a few years ago, I decided, well, I'm going to start charging, because I moved out of where I was working, moved into a different place, wanted to start charging money. And then all those beliefs came up for me around money too. I was thinking, oh, what if people can't afford it, and things like that. And this is, I think, what's happening for this person at the moment. I think she's got her own beliefs, but needs to do a little bit of work to identify where those beliefs came from, and then have a look at whether or not those beliefs are serving her. Because I guess being on the outside of her practice and listening to her story, I get the distinct impression that these beliefs she's holding around money are disempowering for her business, they're disempowering for her team, and they're disempowering for the clients. And I think sometimes when we start to make assumptions about what our clients can and can't afford, that's very disempowering for everybody. You have no right to assume what people can and can't afford, all right? Now, I'll give you an example. I grew up in poverty, below the poverty line in a first world country, okay? And I grew up in a low socioeconomic area. So lots of other families around me that were also growing up in poverty. But guess what? They went on trips to Bali. They got their nails done. They got their hair done. They got new wheels for the car. Do you know what I mean? They got extensions put on the back of the house. All these sorts of things. You have no right to assume what people can and can't afford. That's their business, not yours. And when you're making false assumptions and disempowering assumptions about what other people can and can't afford, of course this is going to have a negative impact on the money situation in your business. And it's going to mean that you are targeting a certain demographic for your business. It means that perhaps even without being conscious about it, you're going to be targeting a demographic of clients that cannot afford your services. And then guess what? Once they've had their rebated sessions, they're just going to wait until the time is up and all those sessions reset. They're not going to continue on. And this is going to affect, that's called the lifetime value of your client. The lifetime value of a client that doesn't pay is very different to the lifetime value of a client that does, all right? Think about the ideal client that you really, 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 really want to work with. Is it someone who's not invested in their health and well-being? Is it someone who's not committed to doing the work? No. You want people who are going to show up consistently, who are going to be present in the session, who want the change, who want the transformation, who want to be engaged with the practice, who want to receive your emails, who want to follow you on social media and see what new information you're sharing and what behind the scenes stuff you're sharing. So I think there are some things that come up for us when we're creating changes in our business around money. So, how do you trust? When you want to increase your fees, you're kind of shifting and you're up leveling, but you're going to see a drop of clients for a little while. And that's okay. It's just a release. It's just some people who are no longer in alignment with the practice are going to leave, and that's okay, because law of vacuum says that where a space is created, a space will be filled, and so that space will then be filled with ideal clients that you want for your practice. When clients leave like that, I'm just giving an example here because we're just talking about clients, but when there's any shift and you notice a drop in something in your practice, when that happens, that's a real gift because it's growth, right? If things just kept happening in the old way, then you're not growing and you're not changing, okay? And that's not where you want your business to be. So look at this shedding as a gift. Look at this releasing as a gift. It needs to happen, okay? The shifting is a gift, and beautiful things wouldn't happen without it. So, of course, you're going to panic. Of course, you're going to feel fear. Of course, you're going to have self-doubt when this stuff happens, right? You might see a drop in bookings in the diary for a couple of weeks. You might get some feedback from 2 or 3 clients that says, this doesn't feel right for me. This isn't fair. What can we work out for me, and stuff like that. And you're going to feel scared. You're going to feel afraid. You're going to think to yourself, should I really have made this change or not? And that's okay. That's okay for you to feel that fear, because it's, again, another representation that the shift is happening. It's a positive sign. It doesn't feel good at the time, but it's a good sign, okay? And so with that in mind, I want you to get really, 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 really excited when the old things that were working before, like booking in the clients that don't pay any money, suddenly stop working, because you know who you are, and you know that your practice is on an upward trajectory. You know your practice is going to the top, okay? You know what your big vision for your practice is meant to be. You know that you own that vision, and you know that you have enough resources to get there, okay? This shift is absolutely an invitation for you to take deeper alignment between your soul vision and your practice, okay? That's what it is, guys. That's what it is. So if you've got a money belief there, I want you to stop for a second, and I just want you to journal out what you believe about raising your fees for your practice. Just free write. And a simple way that I use for this is I just write down, I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe. All right, and see what comes up, and have a look at it and see how you're feeling. But you're probably not going to feel great after you've done it, because you've just made invisible thoughts suddenly visible there in black and white on your computer screen or in your notebook or something. But it's the first step. The first step's always raising your awareness around what's going on for you, so that you can then do the work that's going to allow you to shift those beliefs. With the shifting of beliefs, you're going to shift your reality. With the shifting of reality, you're going to bring the practice into deeper alignment with the vision and the purpose that you have for your practice. And you're going to be working with clients that you really are passionate about working with, rather than just taking a scattergun approach and accepting anybody that calls to book in, right? There's a difference. Anyway, we go into a lot of work around beliefs around money, beliefs around up-leveling, creating shifts in your private practice, and all of this sort of stuff in terms of your big vision for your soul and your soul's purpose. And we do it in the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship. We are still accepting founding members at just 97 Australian dollars a month. There's 8 spots remaining at that price, and then after that the membership fee is going to be increasing. And I am loving the group. I think maybe even in the next podcast episode I might be able to share some of their wins with you if I get their permission to do that, which I'm sure it will all be fine. They're just doing so well, and I want you guys to come in and have that experience yourself of being coached. And this is the thing about the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship. It is a group that's so unique and so different to all the other private practice and counselling and social work groups out there, because they're about information. But this group, the mentorship program, is about transformation. You're going to come into this group and you're going to ask questions and you're going to receive guidance so that you can anchor into and reveal and uncover and tap into the answers that you already have within you. That's what the transformation is. It's very different to going into other groups where you get bombarded with everybody's point of view and bombarded with their opinion, and then you come out of there wishing you never asked the question because you're now doubting yourself, you're now wishing you didn't ask, you're now more confused than ever, and you're feeling more overwhelmed than you were before you went into the group. Stay away from those groups. They're not good for your soul. They're not good for your well-being. If you're feeling triggered, if you're feeling disempowered by those groups, get out. Go into a group like the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group, where you're supported in finding your own answers, because it's kind of like counseling or kind of like therapy or kind of like social work or kind of like coaching. You know, that feeling that you want to give your clients of, you're in the session with them and you know the answer to their question, but you can't say it. You want to guide them through it. And then you see them have the aha moment. And then it's just like this really beautiful shift that they have. And they suddenly get it. And they're like, oh, I get it. You can never take away that moment from them. You can never take away that lesson from them, right? That's what this group is about. It's giving you back that experience that you're already giving to your clients. How cool and special and beautiful is that? Why would you not want that? Okay? In a session with your clients, you're not just going to bombard them with answers and your opinions and tell them what. No. So why would you go into a group on Facebook for that? It doesn't make any sense. Come to the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group. Experience transformation for yourself. There's heaps of bonuses in there as well, and they're constantly being added to. And I would love to meet you and love to see you in there. You know, we're at nearly 3,000 downloads of the podcast, and I'm so thankful that you tune in and you listen to these episodes. And so what I'm going to do is pop my email address, my website, and a link to information about the mentorship program so that you can check it out for yourself. See if it feels like a good fit for you. Come along and join. If you don't like it, that's cool. Just leave. Just cancel your membership. No hard feelings, but come in and give it a go. All right. Help is here. Support is here, and it feels so good. I can't wait to see you inside, guys. Have a beautiful Saturday. Talk soon. Bye.